All right, all right. Hey, how y'all doing out there today? It is Sunday here in Atlanta, Bird Gang, also on Uncle Steve's Sports Talk live on YouTube. How y'all doing today? Pretty good day today. A little bit cloudy, still kind of warm out there. Uh, got a chance to get out and enjoy today. First time we've been back physically at church today, so that was kind of cool to get a chance to get back in the swing of things from that. Needed that today. But other than that, of course, coming back in here trying to figure out, not even figure out, but what thoughts do we have now? All the dust has settled. Everything is kind of calmed down. You know, we've all finished yelling and screaming, and things didn't go our way. And I understand. But now, what does it really come down to? What are we looking at now for our team? And it is our team. So I just wanted to see how everybody's feeling about, everything. Just feeling as a whole, not even so much. Let me turn this volume down. How we feeling as a whole about the team and the progress and how everything went this weekend? Not just the shock and awe of Thursday to some, but how did we do overall? Folks, we got 9 new players on the team. And to me, that's the most exciting thing about this whole process. When you start moving away from the ugly of 2020 and start looking forward to 2021, one of the things that you were probably looking at the most was who's going to come on this squad and change some things? Who's going to change the trajectory of this franchise? Well, Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith this weekend went out and found guys that they thought could help. And when you think about the draft as a whole, think about the positions that they drafted. Okay, at number 1, you went with Kyle Pitts. And I think it was pretty unanimous that aside of Trevor Lawrence, that this was the best prospect, period, in the draft. So as much as the quarterback, tight end fight, listen, if we didn't get the quarterback you wanted, at least you got the very best person that you could find who was in the draft. And that happened to be Kyle Pitts. So looking at that, I don't have a problem with that. And then also seeing what Arthur Smith has promised. What's going on, Winston? How you doing? What has been promised? Let's give them a chance and see what happens. At number 2, Richie Grant out of Central Florida. Safety. We need safeties. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I had the full scouting report on all these guys, but I'm hoping and praying that the scouting team for us is much better than what we've had in recent years because our drafts have not looked that great. So let's see what happens with that. Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan, offensive tackle. We need depth on the offensive line, no doubt. Darren Hall out of San Diego State, cornerback. Is he going to be the starting cornerback at on the other side of AJ at the 4th round? Who knows? Maybe he can. But we do need another cornerback. Offensive lineman Drew Dahlman out of Stanford. Taquan Graham, defensive tackle out of Texas. A lot of folks talked about him. And that could be a little sneaky pick that we have in there in the 5th round. Also, and you're gonna take me a little time. I'm gonna say my man until I get his pronunciation right. Ayo from Notre Dame at defensive end. He was the captain of the defense down up there in South Bend. Avery Williams, special teams standout at Boise State. And last but not least, the very excited Frank Darby. If you happen to look at his little welcome video, it's funny and it's great to get the feel of him because he was giving you raw emotion on how he felt about being drafted to the team. So I like that. It's awesome. Brother Frank, how you doing? So we drafted nice and players who will play in the 3-4 defense. Absolutely. Win a lot of defense, which I'm not shocked. Our defense was not in the greatest of shape. We haven't had a chance to, this will probably be our chance to build some semblance of a defense under Dean Pease. Hey, Lisa, how are you? Say we made it through the 2021 draft. Rise up. Jimmy says, I love our draft competition everywhere, and we address needs. Lisa also says, everyone is still alive, barely. I know some people are mad, and I'm ready to rock with the team. Let's go. Brad said Brad. I'm trying to say Grant and Brad at the same time. My bad, Brad. Grant was a great pick. Going back to what Lisa said about people are mad, but we're ready to rock with the team. Listen, I can't tell anybody how to feel emotionally about this draft. There were some picks that I thought when I first saw the board that I thought this would be the best move for them. Obviously, Terry and Arthur had different opinions on how that worked. And you know what? I'm going to ride with them. This is their first time at it. Maybe they have a super plan that we have no idea about and can turn this team completely around. I guess at this point, anything is going to be better than what we did last year. So they have the equipment. They got the folks in there. Let's see what they do with it. The players are all here. We address defense. We address offensive line. We addressed some special teams. Now let's see what happens. Now we have a long way to wait. May 2nd, and now I think it's May 2nd. May 2nd or May 3rd? I think it's May 2nd. May 2nd, we got a long way to go until August and training camps. But as we get closer and closer, we'll be able to see what kind of product they're going to put out there in September. It's too early. When I'm looking on and I'm seeing people just throwing stuff up there, hey, this sucks. Terry Fontenot ought to be fired, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I can't make anybody, I can no more change an opinion than you can change my opinion. That's a fact. But the one thing I'll say is just let's just ride for a little bit, y'all. Let's ride. It's May 2nd. We have no idea. I do like the statement Jimmy said about draft competition. The one thing that we've done in the last few years is there has been no one to push anyone. as far as a lot of these positions. The offensive line, we drafted folks and just didn't have enough depth to say, you know what, if you're not playing good, I got somebody on the bench that's gonna, push you a little bit. Let's get some of these young boys, these hungry guys that are drafted, they're hyped, they're ready, and let's see if by the time we get out of training camp, by the time we get off those first preseason games, that we have the right mix that we want to put out on the field. Because 2021, again, the schedule is not daunting. It's not like you have a super heavy schedule with the AFC East, sans Buffalo, and the NFC East, who couldn't get anybody over 500. So, and yes, I don't want to get into judging last year from this year because a lot of those teams made improvements too. But there is nothing to say we can't turn this around. There's no evidence to say we can't improve. So I'm a big believer in letting this thing play out. Let's see how it is in the end. If you're going to be negative Nanny the whole time and stay in your room and locked up and nobody's going to, and just going to stay in there until we draft a quarterback, that's fine. I was upset about that too. But at the same time, I ride with Falcons more than I ride with individuals. So those of you with the Justin Fields Jones that you want to go up and take you a Justin Fields jersey and roll up to Chicago, I was about to say I'll pay for the bus ride. No, I won't. Just leave. So we'll do it like that. How about that? Jermaine, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Brother Armani in the house. Jermaine, people are never satisfied. We could have the Messiah himself as general manager. Brother Keelan, how you doing? We're on the same page, Stephen. I hold judgment until September. And that's the one thing. All of this stuff, I said, we've only got players right now. There's not a soul that knows how Arthur Smith is going to run this offense. I know what you saw in Houston. No, I'm sorry, y'all. Tennessee, well, it was a derivative of what Houston Oilers were, moved to Tennessee. For all you youngsters that think I'm confused, the old school people know that Houston Oilers franchise moved over to Tennessee first. But nevertheless, no one is 100% sure how he's going to run his offense. And look, the fact that they were super giddy about getting Kyle Pitts, you know what? I want to share in that excitement. I saw the way they were looking. Matter of fact, I saw that dude on crack. Man, I guess you don't get a good idea of 6'6" on a football field. It's different on a basketball court, but 6'6" on a football field, if you're not an offensive tackle, that's a big boy. So maybe, listen, if he displays the skills he displayed in college, going to the pro level, then we're in good shape. I'll say that. Absolutely. Let's go over here to the Bird Gang, see what we got. At least to say Darby was hyped. He was super hyped. I loved it. And I didn't want to rain on his parade because that was him. That was raw emotion. I truly felt him. I think that was authentic. I think it was a great enthusiasm on his part. The only thing, and I hate to say why I'm tainted, because I look back at Tack. Remember when Tack came on with his F-bombs on national TV, and I know he was excited about his mom and everything. And then last year, Marlon Davidson was doing the yapping and stuff at the press conference and stuff like that. I guess I'm just tainted by talk. Now, the difference in Darby is Darby was happy that he was drafted. So that's a little bit of difference. So I can take that. But I just start going back thinking that I remember when Tack McKinley went across that stage and he was all fired up and they had the picture of his grandma, bless her heart and rest her soul. And I'm going to do this, F-bomb, I'm going to do this. And Deion Sanders had to calm him down. And I'm going to give 100%. I'm going to do that. And I was like, okay. And I think there were a lot of us that were sold on the goods before they hit the field. It's not saying that Tack is the worst ever football player in the world, but Tack absolutely did not live up to a first-round pick. But I'm just so tainted by and actually as a young man, we got a chance to talk to him, my son and I, at summer camp 2 years ago. Great, sounds like a great young man, but didn't live up to this right here. And that right here has it goes woo woo in one ear and out the other to me. Alan, Uncle Steve, we don't have as many holes on our team as people think. Got to trust the new system that address multiple aspects of the team. I agree with you, Alan. Again, when you start looking at areas where we were saying we were lacking, up the middle defensively, depth on the offensive line, definitely wouldn't hurt getting another receiver. We haven't had a real special teams guy here in a couple of years. We needed another young cornerback. We definitely needed a safety. So, yes, check mark, Alan. All those positions filled. And that's what you have to look at. This was not a team one player away. This is not a team. That's why my narrative was like that about the tight end part. We focus so much on number one, and that's you should focus on number one because that's probably going to be your most talented player. So when my focus was on the top, I tend to just skew to the fact that were we one player away as far as a tight end? And we weren't. But if this guy can give us what I think he can give us, and now adding all those pieces that we have behind him through the second and sixth round, that's something to build on. Now, do I get excited about the A.J. McCarron signing and Felipe Franks signing undrafted? Still not, because I do think at the end of the day, you still need somebody in here to push Matt. I do not fall back on that. You need somebody in here legitimately to make Matt feel it, to make him feel some pressure. Matt is our quarterback, no doubt. He's going to lead us, no doubt. He's going to take the first snap during the first game, no doubt. But I just need him to feel like, he's got to step his game up. And listen, I know he's human. You can tell me all day as an NFL player, you don't listen to media, you don't hear the fans, you don't hear. That's a lie. Matt's reading. He's looking at TV. All the prognosticators, all of them weren't saying Kyle Pitts. There are a lot of folks thinking he should have gone quarterback. A lot of them were. And I'm sure he hears that. And you can say you don't care, but at the end of the day, yeah, that's your job. You know you care. You know you care what people think about that. Especially in your heart of hearts, you think you're still capable of being a top-level NFL quarterback. So that narrative aside, I do think we have a chance to do some special things this year. Christian, what's going on? What do you think will happen if we go 4-13? Do you think we'll see Matt and Julio leave at the same time? We go 4-13. I'm trying to tell you that Kyle Pitts pick won't look as strong then. If we go 4-13, it's going to be a sad day here in Atlanta. And I'm telling you, I kind of don't want to think about that, Christian, but to answer your question, yeah, I think you'd be looking at a veteran sweep out. You probably looking at more than Matt and Julio. You'll probably start looking at bigger contracts, could even start looking at Grady, could start looking at Debo, if that were the case. Let's hope and pray we don't get to 4-13. I will answer that, but let's hope we don't get to that. But I see what you're saying. Brad, exciting young players with a new coaching staff, lots to get excited about. And it is, Brad. Again, it's May 2nd. And as I was telling folks in earlier videos, the time to be opinionated about the team structure is the last play of your season, and unfortunately for us, the regular season, and the first play of the next season. So for those who keep saying it's so negative, everyone's so negative, you have different, why can't everybody just be positive and on the same page? It's not a matter of folks being negative. I think people, when you see a losing, failing project like Atlanta was last year, I think you have a lot of folks that have different ways to get to winning. And I'm pretty sure if Arthur Smith didn't get hired, we would have hired another coach that had another route to get there. So let's not just poo-poo when everyone's idea when somebody says, well, I thought Justin Fields going to be better, blah, blah, blah. I get that. That's fine. You can have that opinion. Well, now the draft is over with. Push all that to the side. The Justin Fields dream is gone. The Trey Lance dream is gone. The Penei Sewell dream is gone. Yes, there was a lot of that too. All of those folks are gone. We have our team. So now, as fans, you don't have to like the picks. You don't have to be on board with the picks. Now the onus is the coaching staff making us believe that those folks they went out there and brought into the organization are worth those investments. So as fans, we sit back and watch. You can sit back and be mad all you want to, but that's wasted energy. Let these dudes do their jobs. The chefs have all the ingredients. They got all the ingredients Thursday, Friday, little Kyle Pitts, little Darren Hall, little offensive line, little defensive line, little special team. They got the mix. So the chefs are Arthur Smith and Dean Pease and Dave Ragone, all those guys, they're mixing that stuff up. And let's hope by the time September comes, we have a smorgasbord right in front of us. And the Falcon fans are hungry. We are hungry to eat, y'all. Starving. Because for the last few years, we had some ramen noodles and some saltine crackers. Yeah, military people understand that one more than that ramen noodle. But we'll have all of that sitting in front of us for the last few years. We want to eat. Give us something to bite off of. Give us something. That's what we want. Absolutely. Brother Ricky, how you doing, sir? Brother's one of the best drafts we've had in a long time. But that Felipe Franks and running back pickup on the undrafted free agents was huge. Yeah, listen, I know he struggled at Florida, and I know and he did a little bit better at Arkansas, but Arkansas is Arkansas, so that's not the greatest team in the world. But it would be nice. Let's see what happens. A very young quarterback, still with a coach that might be able to do something with him. I'm not expecting him to light up the world, but it would be nice to have him as a number 2 if he develops correctly and he listens to what he's supposed to do. Absolutely. And I got a feeling he might get kept around. Being undrafted, yeah, your chances are a little bit slimmer, but, we'll see. A.J. McCarron, I think that was a decent pick to back up somebody with some NFL experience who's been out there on the field and started a few games. Not bad, but let's see how that works out. Jermaine says, I think we'll be in the playoffs in year 2. Ricky says, and these so-called Falcon fans just got us at 4-13 before the season starts. Yeah, I don't even prescribe to that stuff, man. It's crazy. Folks just want to be whatever. What's up, Brother Glenn? How you doing? What's up, Chuck? Say agreed he has to do better. What was his motivation? His MVP year. You know what his motivation was? His MVP year. He had a coach who wasn't impressed that he had 5 straight playoff seasons. He wasn't impressed that Thomas Dimitroff cuddled him and softened him up like a baby. Kyle Shanahan came in here in 2015 and whooped his behind. And in 2015, you remember, that was the biggest media thing Matt had ever gotten into. When him and Kyle couldn't see eye to eye. That was the biggest thing. And I think going into the 2016 season, Matt was saying, okay, I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to go. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do all the things you say. I'm going to trust the system. I'm going to let you push me, and let's see what happens. And that turned out to be one of the honestly, one of the more historical quarterback seasons of all time. He had a really good season that year, y'all. So, yeah, that was his motivation that year. Now was his motivation. That's why I was thinking about the quarterback again, just to say, what do you need to push you one step further? Because right now, if I go over to the sideline and I see A.J. McCarron and Felipe Franks, I feel good. If I throw 3 interceptions, I'm pretty sure I'm staying on the field. Now, Arthur Smith could be different. You might be like, hey, if you're not doing the job, let me get one of these guys and try. We can't do any worse than what you're doing. That could be one thing. Oh, man, I'm sorry. I jumped way down here. Orion, what's going on, brother? Said Terry had said he's going to draft the best player on the board. Didn't matter what position was, and he did. Just said 4-13 would be a complete collapse of the defense. Perry, what's up, fam? Chuck said, don't disrespect the noodles. Oh, I no disrespect now. Listen, I was thinking about the military when we used to have those ramen noodles. That was when times were hard. You didn't want to go to the mess hall, and you had your little hot plate in your room. And this is back in the day before some of y'all spoiled soldiers had a single soldier initiative. But back in the day when they didn't let you, you had to sneak a hot plate in there and get it in there and cook up their food. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Perry says, I love our draft because watching the GM and head coach talk about these guys, they have me ready for the season. It has me plan on going to minicamp. Absolutely. I'm going to try to make it up there a couple of times myself. Chuck, does it take Matt just getting ticked off to see consistent play? I mean, maybe it does. Some people take different things to motivate them. Some people I would love to see what motivates Tom Brady. I mean, from the beginning, being a 6th-round pick, that's where you start. But as a athlete, and look, forget athlete, as a person, if you're doing a job and you want a promotion and you see somebody who is in the position and you know they're not as good as you, there's something about you that wants to fire you up to say, you know what? You don't deserve that. Let me motivate myself to get better and go to the next level. That was the most motivated I'd ever seen Matt Ryan. I'm not trying to say the man doesn't have any talent and hasn't led us to other winning seasons and hadn't done anything. But that particular year in 2016, he looked different. He looked different. You saw it on the field. You saw it in his attitude. You saw more cussing from from Matt Ryan in 2016 than you've seen years prior, except the year he told Carolina to get the blank off the field. Other than that, you saw Matt more fired up. Go look at some of those the NFL films when they do the after game thing where they have sounds of the game. Go listen to Matt, man, potty mouth. But not just that, you just heard there was a different vibe. There was seemed like a different motivation going on and stuff like that. Matt was different then. You can't deny that. Young Teen Todd says, look, I'm Chiefs. We all know Kyle Pitts is already a Hall of Famer. Well, listen, I don't know about Hall of Famer, but I'll say this. I think he has the potential to be pretty good. We had a Hall of Famer here already, and he was pretty good. He got a long way to go to catch Tony G. First, you got to get on the field. Let's see what he does there. Jimmy says, best comparison of guys is Pitts to is a better Graham Grant, is a ball hawk like KZ. Mayfield is identical to Pete, Dahlman is a version of McCoy, etc. Same bill type just for us. Ricky says, I'm optimistic about a playoff run. Christian, watch Kyle Pitts put some more muscle and smack Cam Jordan in the mouth. Yeah, Cam Jordan, man. As I told some of y'all the other day, Cam Jordan, I think, likes to hear himself speak. And I keep, every time I hear Cam act like he was on the Super Bowl team. And that's the part that's just so funny. Matt Ryan, there are Falcons on the team right now that's been further than Cam Jordan. Yeah, it'd be nice to win the division, go to the playoffs, obviously, and stuff like that. But Cam act like he's done everything. He's definitely an all-pro, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not a good player. If they say he was coming to the Falcons, I'd greet him at the door. But at the same time, for all the smack talk, his teams have never really done anything. Dare I say he's only been to the NFC Championship once, right? I think once. Ricky says, almost everyone gave the Falcons either an A or A plus across the sports channels. You are correct. I did see a lot of that. And that's one thing. And it's not like you build your life to please Ian Rappaport and folks like that. But it is a respect factor to see most of the people across the board think the Falcons did very well. Now, I will say out of 7 rounds, if you have 9 picks, you better at least get a B. But Ricky is right. I saw on most of the platforms, he definitely we definitely got an A. What's up, RJ? How you doing, sir? Martavius, what's up, brother? Darby reminds me of Gabriel as a deep threat. Yeah, and that would be nice if you could work him in the slot. And here's the thing, Martavius, we still are nice at wide receiver. So to add another person there and get him in the mix, I think that's going to be great. Christian, I'm praying it'll work out for us. The one pick I like is Darby. He's coached by Herman Edwards. I'm sure he got him ready for the next level, and I love Herman Edwards. Herman Edwards was somebody that I was hoping wanted to come back and coach in the NFL. I would have loved to see him as an Atlanta head coach, and that was right around the time that Quinn got chosen to go over here. Ricky said, I saw some foul on Franks, and all he needs is a coach like Arthur Smith to get him to the point where he can challenge Matt, bro. It's possible. Oh, no, I'm not saying it's not possible. He's an athletic dude, and he had flashes at Florida. People are going to remember Felipe Franks for not panning out at Florida, but it's not like he didn't have moments. He had some moments. It just didn't work out for him. And then when he saw the tide turning and they were going in another direction, he went to Arkansas and did a decent job. This Arkansas is just kind of garbage. That's about the only problem now. John Evers says, preach. Thank you, brother. Rusty, did you order your Felipe Franks jersey yet? I didn't order Felipe, but I ordered Kyle Pitts. I told y'all that as soon as they came out that I will order it. And of course, he is wearing number 8. So the story is, at first, one of the media people said they went to Roddy White and said, "Will Roddy have a problem with 84?" And they were like, "No, ha ha ha." But we forgot Cordell Patterson was just signed right before the draft. Cordell wears 84. So Kyle asked Cordell about wearing 84, and Cordell said no. As the veteran, Kyle said, "Okay, cool. I'll go to a single number." I'm trying to think, who did he say he talked to? It was somebody he talked to about getting number 8. So when Cordell turned him down. Now, here's the only problem I have with that whole scenario. The mere fact that Cordell Patterson is making the decision on what my number 1 overall draft pick gets as far as his number is concerned is kind of, I know he's a rookie, but I'm also like, I don't know, Cordell. If I was Arthur Smith, I might have to pull rank on there. And I'm saying, look, Kyle Pitts, you are 10 times more important than what Cordell Patterson is. at this moment. Cordell Patterson, this was a woo. I'm glad somebody signed me signing. That wasn't a marquee first week signing. Cordell just signed on a couple of weeks ago. So I'm saying if Kyle wants to get 84, I'd go and make it work and get that man 84. But it's too late. He's wearing number 8. That ought to be interesting. Big tight end wearing number 8. RJ, truth, Uncle Steve. That's why I love listening to you live and appreciate you, tight end Marcus. I appreciate that, RJ. Thank you so much. And we appreciate y'all, man. And look, we have so many things in store for y'all this football season that we're trying to do. And I don't want to over talk about too much of it because I don't want to promise and then we don't end up doing things. But trust me, the talks between us about some opportunities, some fellowships, and now that things are kind of opening up again with some things, we thinking about, just bringing this thing together because there's a lot of y'all out there that are fans just like us. Y'all get frustrated just like us. You get excitable just like us. And I can guarantee you this, for some of the negative talk I hear about some of the admins out there, which we laugh at, trust me, none of us are grabbing Kleenex. But for all of the things I can say about each one of those guys, man, they are Falcon fans, bruh. I mean, some of y'all be talking junk and talking about your support. These guys are Falcon fans. And I thought I'm the biggest fan of all time. And I mean that. Every time when somebody else tries to come up and say they're a bigger fan than me, I'll debate you about anything. I'm going to tell y'all a story about some guys I ran into yesterday, and we'll get on that. I want to keep it positive for the moment. Thank you, though, RJ. I appreciate that. Ricky says AJ was better than Schaub. I think anybody was better than Schaub. So, Armani said, y'all mad because AJ McCarron has broke Georgia Bulldogs' hearts. And yeah, he did. Absolutely, he did. Those 2 chips on the shoulder are pretty strong. Absolutely. Christian says, I hope we can sign free agent Melvin Ingram or Justin Houston to our edge. I don't think we can afford those guys. I don't. And the only way we'll probably be able to afford those guys is to probably lose a Hall of Famer in the process to free up some of that money. Twan, let me order this Frank's jersey. Nah, but what's going on, brother? I think our draft was solid. I think we may have had 4 starters, maybe 5. I think 4 at least. 4 of those guys, especially when you talk about the cornerback, defensive tackle, obviously Pitts, and safety, Grant. We do have a chance. And again, the competition is going to be different this year because with new eyes coming in here, the new coach coming in here, he's not going to be impressed. Just with Jake Matthews might line up at left guard and Arthur say, hey, let me see what the kid from Michigan can do. But coach, I was the starter last year. Was I here? No. Running back might come in there and give these other guys a chance. Mike Davis, as much as I think that's a nice little signing, they might give the undrafted free agent a shot and let him come in there. But coach, man, this is about competition, man. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to build a legacy. I can't worry about what you think right now. I'm trying to build this thing into a winner. What's going on, Charles? How you doing, sir? Edward says, our team feels all the way, but with Terry Fontenot just addressed it. I'm sorry. I'm sounding messed up. Let me start that again. With Terry Fontenot just drafted, he addressed positions of needs. I love the Kyle Pitts pick, but who I really, really like is second rounder Richie Grant and defensive end out of Notre Dame. We're going to go with AO because I can't pronounce his name. But as far as that's concerned, that was a very good pick when you start talking about defense. And I love the fact that we loaded up on some defensive linemen because by far that was one of our weaker positions aside of Grady. and he needs some help. So now you still have Marlon. I think we actually still have Tyler Davidson too, right? So you have some folks on that defensive line, and if we are going to flex back and forth into that 3-4, you're going to need some different guys out there. Charles says Franks was better at Arkansas. He was. Again, he didn't have any help, but Franks was actually pretty good at Arkansas. But Charles, Franks, again, he flashed some talent at Florida. He just wasn't super consistent. And with the way Florida had just come off being a real power when Felipe Franks came in, remember how highly recruited he was when he got to Florida? They basically gave him the job, but he didn't do as well. But good for him. Glad he went to Arkansas. Benjamin, how you doing, sir? Preach it. Said Herm was my first choice. Dungy, leadership, character, and more fiery. That's my point. I think Tony Dungy is a leader of men when you're talking about out there on the field. I know he got a lot of love with the Jets when he was out there. A lot of things, personnel went the wrong way, kind of went left on him up there. I just got so much respect for him when I saw what he did to Arizona State. Arizona State was going in the tank fast when he took over, and he turned them into a pretty good team. I mean, they were literally garbage before he came in there and kind of switched them around. And I'm trying to tell y'all, if some of y'all are not familiar with Herm Edwards, go do some of the YouTube and go look at him talking at the rookie symposium when he was trying to tell the rookies about some of the things coming into the NFL. That cat is awesome. RJ says, I love the draft picks. Love the O-line additions. Think they will contribute right away. Love the secondary. Love we didn't get two big mouth talking type dudes. We got good football players. Won't grade them until I see production on the field, but I think we got some pretty good players. Yeah, we did. My brother Chuck says, Doodles got me through many deployments. Absolutely. That ramen was no joke. Armani says, Roddy, not too worried about no jersey number anyway. Man trying to talk junk and enjoy his retirement. Twan, he talked to Calvin Ridley. That's who it was. Thank you. Thank you, Twan. I know you listened to the same story. David, what's up, brother? Say, now that I've calmed down, draft wasn't that bad. The two offensive linemen are strong from what I've read, so think we're going to have a power run scheme. We'll see about the two ends. They seem they were drafted more on potential. Love the safety. Hawkins was not bad at Louisville. Love the Marcus Murphy signing. He's a challenge. He'll challenge for the free safety spot. Overall, I'm okay now. And when you start talking about potential, that they were talking about that, Terry and Arthur, on the after draft thing, where they were saying some guys that they drafted specifically to say these are guys we're going to work with. There are some guys that, listen, Kyle Pitts is going to be on the first 15 scripted plays probably. But when you start talking about some guys are drafted specifically to say, you're not going to be ready this year, but I promise you by 2022, you might be on the field. You have to draft those kind of guys too, because all 53 guys can't play at the same time. So you start thinking about guys that you say, I see potential in you. I'm going to bring you in with my coaching. I'm going to make you maybe not a star, but I'll make you solid. Again, sustained success. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about 1 year, sustained success. So there you go. Billy Ray, what's going on, sir? I'm a Gator fan. Felipe Franks was average, but with a fresh start, he did okay in Arkansas. Great development to get behind, strong arm and athletic. They're still tooling this roster. I look for them to sign a few vets. Oh yeah, you're gonna see at least 20 to 30 undrafted folks, because none of that stuff is guaranteed. All this, they'll get a lot of undrafted folks out there. But yeah, good insight on Felipe Franks, you're right. He was average. He was really hyped, though, if you remember Billy Ray being a Gator guy. He was hyped coming to y'all big time and didn't quite work out. But, we'll see. Rusty said, do you think Julio is going to be traded? If I had to put a significant amount of bread on it, I would say yes. I think Terry wants to get off his contract. I would like a pass rusher or linebacker and draft them in return. Yeah, that's going to be the next thing to see what ends up happening with that situation. I find it interesting, and I think Tidy and Marcus were talking about it when we did the Thursday night draft, how Julio is not on any of the ticket things. Now, Julio is if he retired now, first ballot Hall of Fame wide receiver. No doubt. No doubt. Julio has been considered one of the top 3 receivers for the majority of his career. In some years, the top receiver. No doubt in my mind. As an organization, it's funny to me that the people you throw out there are Grady Jarrett, Matt Ryan, and Calvin Ridley. So when you're putting Calvin Ridley on a promo before you're putting Julio Jones, somebody that you invested in just a year ago prior to the season, I mean, that tells me a lot. That tells me that you're just kind of hedging to say, oh, no, we might not bring him back. The only thing about it, who knows? Let's see. Maybe with Kyle Pitts in, maybe Matt will go holler at his boy and say, look, Julio, dude, let's make one more ride at this thing, man. Let's make one more run. One more run. Let's see what we got. Got this young boy coming in, Kyle. So now when you hop off the field 2 out of every 4 plays, at least Kyle will be out there. Let's see how it works out, man. Come on, ride one more time. That dude bigger than Julio. That dude is taller than Julio. So I don't know. I don't know, but right now it doesn't look good. Just what I'm seeing from looking at Pro Bowls like that and just saying, they don't have their Hall of Fame wide receiver on a promo. That's very interesting to me. I don't think that's a coincidence. Yeah. RJ, Terry Fondo said they will check free agency for a running back, so it's possible we sign a couple of free agents to complete the roster. And also remember, too, RJ, it doesn't end here. Remember how they go to the end of the year and everybody has to make their roster drops. There have been guys that get picked up after that 4th preseason game and end up being a big contributor to the team. So I'm sure they'll look at that too, in addition to the undrafted free agents and things of that nature. You're going to have a lot to choose from, and especially when teams cut folks on those last weeks. Shoot, they'll look at those waiver wires all week long trying to find the right picks to come in here. Brother Michael, how you doing, Sir Steve? The Titans' 2 tight end offense only works because of Travis Henry. Where's our Travis Henry, not Davis, and not addressed in this draft? I must admit, I'm a little skeptical about that. I do not think Mike Davis is Travis Henry Derrick Henry by any means. But I mean, I'm sure he has a plan. We knew when he came over here that he wasn't going to be able to bring Henry with him. So I'm going to make the assumption he has a plan. And let's see what happens. Charles, Steve, who's going to be our starting running back? As of right now, it's going to be Mike Davis. Right now, at this time. Am I 100% secure in saying he's the best option? I don't know what the plan is for Ollison. Ollison is still right now cheap by NFL standards. So I noticed they did not let him go. Ironic that they would let Ito go and not let Allison go. So, but I say right now, if you ask me right now, I think it's going to be Mike Davis. Clayton, I like the wide receiver. He's a go-getter. I can't understand what that is you wrote, so we'll get back to you later. Rusty says Grant was rated by some analysts as the best safety in the draft, steal of the draft. Terry might have nailed his first draft. They also say they never received any serious offers for the fourth pick. And I believe that. Listen, they wanted to get some talent. And I don't mind them sticking to their guns at number 4. Obviously, Justin Fields wasn't in their game plan. They say they wanted to stay with Kyle Pitts. They seem super excited about that move, which lets me know that was probably their plan for quite a while. So let's see what happens, man. Clayton, I like the wide receiver, even though I've only seen fly routes from him. He's a go-getter. Now, also remember, Clayton, again, our wide receiver core is not a slouch. I mean, even if number 11 doesn't come back, we still have Calvin Ridley. We still have a very serviceable Mohamed Sanu-like Justin Gage. We still have, coming off injury, Zacchaeus, who showed flashes last year that he could do the job. And you still have they re-signed Christian Blake to the team as well. I think we're okay. Are we stacked with all-stars? No, but you don't need to be. Just have some competent guys out there. If you told me we were coming out to start off the year with Ridley and Gage at wide receiver, Pitts and Hayden Hurst in a 2 tight end set coming out there, I would be sold. Sounds good to me. So maybe they'll start looking at that. Armani, if they trade Julio, I'm going to throw a whole fit like a 3-year-old little girl who mama just told her no in the grocery store. Then I'm going to take my shot of Hennessy and be fine the next day. I think you're going to see a little bit more than that. That'll probably be tame, Armani, because I think you're going to get some folks that's going to lose their mind up in here, if number 11 is traded away. And I thought I was having a positive, great podcast for a moment, but remember these fans too. If Julio leaves and Matt is still here, I'm trying to tell you folks, that's not a good combination. It's really not going to be. But let's hope it doesn't get to that. Twan said, Coach Smith said it will be running back by committee until that next great back comes out of college, and it might be. Yeah, there's nothing great about Mike Davis. Mike Davis did a very good job in McCaffrey's absence. And I say very good. He did a really good job in McCaffrey's absence. He did very well against us. But, you know, I don't have a problem with the running back by committee. It works. It's kind of running back by committee with as much as Devontae held it down during the Super Bowl year, it's not like they couldn't depend on Tevin Coleman that year. And then remember the little kid, who was that flashed in there every now and then and got a run. I'm trying to think of the cat's name. Little running back. Ward. Ward was on the team. The other guy. Ward. He didn't get a lot of time, but, you know, you don't have to have Derrick Henry on your team. You don't have to have the one guy with 40 carries a game, exaggerating, of course, and 200 yards a game. You don't have to have that. As long as you have a consistent running game, period. That was the thing that killed us. For all of the folks that are quick to talk about Matt Ryan, and his yards, that's not a coach's dream for you to have that many yards, unless the running game has 2,000 yards running for the year as well. Now, if you get out a 4,000-yard passer and 2,000 yards rushing, then okay, you cool with me. But if your running game is, if you're throwing in lieu of no running game, that's not good. K1 said, Russell Gage. What did I say? I must have said something wrong. I'm sorry. If I said something wrong, I meant Russell Gage. Sorry about that. David said, I'm sorry, but I see Zacchaeus as a Michael Jenkins 2.0. I saw too many drops at the worst time, a la Michael Jenkins. Here's the difference, though. Michael Jenkins was a first-round pick. Zacchaeus is not. He's not a starter. I'm not expecting him to be a starter. But he did have some moments last year that let me know he can play football. That's not going to hurt my feelings. The people going to be on the field more next year are going to be really engaged. Now, if you tell me they at the yips and they start dropping, then I have a problem. That doesn't bother me. Armani, why is Ollison still here? Because he has a low contract. Because he's pretty cheap right now. What was he, a 5th-round pick, 6th-round pick? He's not making any money. They don't need him. Sean said Teron Ward. Thank you, brother. Ward, that was the guy I was thinking about. Homer says Henry only became known under Arthur's offense, not before. I don't think Henry necessarily was the reason for the offense's success. The offense could be the reason for his success, and that's very good. I mean, but let's not act like he wasn't the Heisman Trophy winner, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hear what you're saying. You're right. It could have been his offense that made him great. When you start thinking about what Shanahan did with San Francisco during that Super Bowl year, when you were talking about the running back by committee, remember they had 3 guys getting run. They had Mostert. They had the guy that they traded to Miami, who's losing my mind, start with a B, Matt Breda, Tevin Coleman. They mixed that thing up, man. They didn't have one total hero doing it all. They mixed it up. Brother Dre, what's going on? How you doing? What's the topic of the day? Just got home from church. That's a good thing, Dre. We'd like to hear that. I said, I got home late from church, too, today. We had a first day back in church in a long time, so I had a long day, too. We're just talking about after-draft thoughts, my friend. Talking about spinning what many may think as, let's put it this, the pessimistic view of fans on day Thursday and the optimistic view of fans today. Because Thursday it was pessimistic because there was a legion of fans, myself included, who thought maybe we would possibly go for quarterback. And now, after seeing the whole full draft, I feel good about the team. I do. I felt good about the team in 18, 19, and 20 in all season too. But I do feel good about this team, probably because we have a new head coach and some new guys in here more than anything else. Look, I think Arthur Smith is going to try his best to pull out every stop he can to make this team successful. And he realizes by keeping Matt Ryan on this roster that, you're taking a little bit of a gamble, especially from somebody who hasn't done anything. Now, if he turns out Matt Ryan goes 12-5 this year, Arthur Smith is going to be another Kyle Shanahan. Trust me. If he turns this team from 4-12 to 12-5, 11-6, if he does that, they'll start putting him in Kyle Shanahan status. K1, why Ollison never really got a real chance? I think he was in the doghouse, K1. I think he was. And it's amazing to me. It had to happen in 2020 because if you remember, in 2019, near the end of the year, they were giving Ollison some goal line shots. Allison had a couple of touchdowns in 2019. I mean, he did not get a sniff last year. He spent more time on the inactive list, healthy scratch, than anything else. So they had grown sour with him. I don't know why. That's a very good question. But it's obvious that he, got in there late. What's up, Dave? Speaking of late, they say I'm late, but in the house. But brother, we keep the door open for you. We don't care what time you come in here. We're just glad you came in, brother. Michael, does your son play football? He has played football. He should be playing this year if he wanted to. But he played football a lot younger. Now he's kind of a little bit more paying attention to his high school studies and stuff like that. But he did play a lot of, as you could probably tell, defensive line and offensive line. But yes, he loved him some football. He actually likes to get into things like this. So I know he was pretty quiet and tame when he came on here, but he's definitely like a behind the scenes kind of guru right here. So don't be surprised if you see him on a YouTube channel down the line yourself. So Homer says, exactly, Shanahan offense had everybody rushing for 100 yards. They did. Charles, how does Arthur Smith offensive philosophy fit Matt Ryan? Now, Charles, that's the one thing that I'm kind of willing to see too, because the one thing, Ryan Tannehill became more efficient. And going back to what, I forgot who that was real quick. I don't know what that was, Homer or somebody else, that was saying about the system making Derrick Henry. The system absolutely made Ryan Tannehill. Because you think about Ryan Tannehill coming from Miami, he was on the Josh Rosen track for 1 second. He was about to be called bust until he got to Tennessee and did a really good job once he's gotten up there. And he had some pretty legit numbers. Remember, there was a little bit of beef about him not being picked to the Pro Bowl this year, because I think he had 30+ touchdowns and definitely single-digit interceptions. So Arthur's offense made him a pretty good quarterback up there. To answer your question, I have no idea, Charles. I'm looking forward to going up to training camp like we did a couple of years ago, and can't wait to do that and seeing exactly what he's gonna do. Dave says Allison has a chance in this new offense. His college tape looked pretty good to me. It did to me too. I thought he would get more of a chance, but for some reason, I guess he didn't. Brother Phillip, how you doing, brother? Jones, Ridley, Hurst, Pitts on the field at the same time. Somebody open. I hope so. Let's hope the Jones part of that is staying true. I mean, there's one thing when you hear, it's almost like the Aaron Rodgers thing. I absolutely positively believe Aaron Rodgers told somebody, I'm not sure if I want to come back. But I'm sure they smoothed it out real quick. Almost like Russell Wilson. When Russell Wilson stuff came out, where he physically came out and said some things, there is some truth to it. And they went out, got him some offensive linemen, got him some help. Now Russell allegedly is happy. When the news came out last week about the possible trade of Julio Jones, I started adding stuff up in my mind, and I started thinking, aside of the things I was talking about promotional, not being on those things, I also noticed that Julio was one of the only people that, with the larger contracts, that wasn't restructuring. And I'm going to make it clear, as a fan and somebody who believes in capitalism, I don't have a problem with Julio not wanting to restructure his contract. There were some fans, I used to see these posts, and Julio, help us out. Give us some. Julio got a family. When Julio got that contract, Julio plans on getting his 20-something million in full that year. Not take some deal where they could turn some of it into bonus money this year and then cut you 2 years down the line. So I don't blame him one bit. I never try to reach into the pocket. I can be disagreeable about how much money they get paid initially on the contract, but once you get paid that contract, I don't have a problem with a man coming up and saying, "Hey, I don't want to move money." And so I bring that point up to say, I think that might be a point of contention. I think the new guys came in here and said, "Hey, let's look, y'all. Either we gotta do some uncomfortable releases here, or we're gonna need some of y'all to help us out." Matt, what can you do? Matt, as always, restructured. Of course, we got a fat reward at the end with his $40 million cap next year. Jake Matthews restructured. And they went through Julio probably, and Julio probably said, "Oh, y'all kick rocks." And I think that probably became something more than it is. Of course, I'm just spitballing. But I will say this, like I said, that was just odd to me that I don't see the man on the commercial. It's kind of weird. But who knows? We'll see. Let me get back here. I'm so sorry. Rusty, for the life of me, I won't understand Allison hate. Dude hasn't even had a fair shot yet. Arthur gonna use that boy somehow. Watch. And I believe he will too. The fact that, again, Ito's gone and he's still here, I got a feeling they might have some plans for him. Charles, we'll be picking up another quarterback in 22-23. You can bet your bottom dollar. Unless the development of somebody like Felipe Franks can help you out. And I say that not to say that I'm hooking I'm putting my hopes on him turning into the next best thing, but I'm saying he's a college kid he's coming out of college. Obviously, nobody wanted to draft him. He's going to a coach that's saying, "You know what? You're going to be developmental. You're not going to see the field in 2021. He won't. That'll be A.J. McCarron. But in the background, let me see what you got. Let me see what you can do. Let's see what happens. Maybe he gets put in for a couple of pocket plays along the way, a couple of wildcats, a couple of things of that nature. Who knows? But it's so much you can do. But to answer your question, you absolutely better look for a quarterback next year. Michael, quarterbacks never on their list. Why did they even get our hopes up by going to their pro days, Steve? I think it's a little bit of sleight of hand too, Michael. You don't want to ever show your hand in the draft. If you go, with the exception of Trevor Lawrence, which it was obvious, I don't think any team wants to show, just like, okay, perfect example, San Francisco. Who did you hear more about San Francisco getting when they jumped up to number 3? Mac Jones. Then they said, hold on, before we do that, everybody all in our business now, let's go to Trey Lance's pro day. Let's go to Justin Fields' pro day. And Justin Fields was glad-handing with Kyle, and half of the folks lost their mind because they were like, "Oh, no, he's going to Frisco. Look at that. Look how he smiled. Look how he shook his hand." And once they did that, again, now it puts doubt back in. So from the Falcons' standpoint, and you want to push the trade value up. After Frisco made their move and basically hollered to the world, "We're going to get a quarterback," Atlanta became the hottest commodity to jump up and make a trade. And that's why Terry them probably went to everybody's pro day. They went to Trey's, they went to Justin's, they even went to they went to Zach Wilson's too. They went to everybody. And of course, they went to Kyle Pitts. They went to everyone. So they can kind of put a little bit of mystery in it and say, "Oh, Falcons might not want that quarterback." So if you're another team, Dallas, not Dallas, they just signed Prescott, New England, or Chicago, and you want to jump all the way up there, you can do it. Now, Chicago got snake bit from doing that last time, so I know they're not going to do it. But that's what I think. That's what I think, Mike. K1 said, I think Felipe Franks can get AJ's position at number 2. We'll see. That'll be interesting if he can. And again, it's not like AJ was top material. Right now, you're just trying to get a veteran quarterback to get in there. Trade, Steve, the number 8 got an upgrade when Matt wore it. Right or wrong? You talking about Matt Shaw? Yeah, right. Christian, what section? I'm in 130, brother. I'm in 130. In the club section. 130. Right? Artavius, I know Julio doesn't play a full season, but he proves himself sometime. I'm sorry. He proves himself every time on the field. This is not, and let me make clear, this is not the Julio bash session. Had nothing to do with that. I don't even think the Falcons are mad about the injuries things. I think this is internal. The guys coming in don't have a love affair with Julio. They don't. They have no reason to have a love affair with Julio. Julio wasn't with them. It would have been nice if they could have had him, but they don't owe Julio anything. And if anything, they say, you know what, Julio, we came here because you weren't doing the job. Not him literally, but the Falcons. So, hey, but he's good, though. Don't get me wrong. Trey says, Pitt's going to make 8 look good. Dean says, I am pumped to see this offense cook. That makes 2 of us, man. Dude, think about the now, even if number 11 stays, it's going to be must-see TV. But even if number 11 doesn't stay, that's still going to be a pretty decent offense. And hopefully we get the balance we need. I know we are worried about run. I'm really worried about running back because we got to have a running game. Our running game must succeed in order for Matt to survive, literally, and not keep getting sacked. We must have a running game. We must develop a running game. That's why I'm very encouraged by the offensive linemen and also the tight ends. And remember, we signed a couple of blocking tight ends too. I think they are going to dedicate themselves to, we're going to force ourselves to run the ball. By hook or crook, we will run this ball this year. Dave says, can they run the ball? If not, then passing yards don't mean a thing. I believe Coach Smith won this battle, but the next move is strictly Terry's. Yeah, as far as next year. There was during the day that they actually picked Kyle Pitts and they had the press conference, there was a little comment there that Terry made about Arthur and what he wanted. And there was a little wry smile between them, almost to say you might believe that story about Arthur saying, hey, man, I want Pitts. And Terry might saying, I think we need a quarterback. So you go back and check that out. Not the one they did yesterday for the end, but the one they did right after Kyle Pitts was picked. I thought that was interesting. Christian says, are you going to go live on May 12th when the NFL does the schedule release? I am, and the reason why I'm going to go live, and the reason I'm sure you all want to see that day, is because you want to know where these home games are going to land, where the away games. I mean, when you think about last year, it was a wasted season because we had such a balanced schedule until the very end. And in the very end, it kind of messed up on us. But with the home games kind of stacking up on us when we needed them to, if we had a decent team, we could have taken advantage of that. But yeah, we're gonna go live on release day as well. Octavius, my bad. I was speaking on him not restructuring his contract. Oh, no. I would. You good, man. Don't pay me no mind, bro. I'm good. You good. You always good with me, Octavius. Don't even go there. You good. Rusty, realistically, what do you think we can get for Julio in a trade? Well, obviously, it's going to be something in 2022. And probably it depends on what the player is. I don't know. And matter of fact, we may not even get a player. If Julio can pass a physical, I think you can still get a first rounder from him if he can pass a physical. I think your more than likely scenario is him getting a second round pick. I think that's going to be what you're looking at, something in the second round. Michael say, I love Felipe's size, 6'6". He could run, and before he got an injury, he was doing great. I hope he makes it. I think he'll be on the team either way, Michael. Again, depending on how his development is, and the problem is this year, hopefully the guys will be able to have a real training camp. That's the problem. Nobody's doing the OTAs this year. Nobody's doing the off-season conditioning as far as a group. Nobody's doing that. So it's hard to develop when you don't have time with the players. Because if they had everything pre-pandemic, they'll have Felipe in there early. Day and night, living and breathing Flowery Branch. Trying to get him up to snuff. Because your goal would be for Felipe to beat out AJ McCarron. I don't think Arthur Smith is sitting there saying, young man, stunt your growth because AJ is going to be here. I think his goal is to say, okay, I got you. And if you listen to me, I want to build you up to be the next backup for Matt Ryan and potentially somebody who might be the future. It was a sneaky little pick because Felipe was actually ranked higher in a couple of plays. I was surprised Ian Book went to somebody. And I think he was okay, but I think Felipe Franks was much better than kid from Notre Dame, Book. I think he's okay, but I don't know. Probably because he played for Notre Dame, I guess. Homer says, I love Julio, but we can get 16 games versus 9 games out of other players defensively or offensively for $22 million a year. And for folks that say it's unfair to bring that up, I'm with Homer. Do you think in New Orleans, Michael Thomas is looked at as, oh, well, he just missed some games right after he signed that huge contract? It's fair game. When you're making that much money as a wide receiver, money that they've never made before, money that we gave him arguably on the other side of the hill, it's something that you have to think about. The expectations become more. That's not saying we don't love Julio. That's not saying we don't appreciate Julio. It's not saying that we don't want him to succeed or be here. Of course I want Julio to be here. Of course I want to see this. I would love to see him be part of that meme that everybody's been having of him and Ridley and Pitts. Of course I want to see that. But at the same time, at $22 million, I should have been seeing some of that last year. And I know he's hurt sometimes, but that's starting to be a broken record. Every time we say Julio for the last 3 years, if he wasn't hurt. And injuries happen, but there's some guys that have a different makeup. Yeah, when Julio's healthy, he's one of the best, if not the best in the game when he's healthy. But the problem is we keep saying if he's healthy, and we've been doing that a lot the last few years. Love for Julio, though. Christian, I hope they let us play again on Thanksgiving night at home so we can redeem ourselves for the 2019 game. I'm trying to be in the building. I think that, listen, I would love for us to have that too, but I think, boy, with us blowing it 2 years in a row, I don't know if they want us back on for Thanksgiving. There was somebody telling me, and I don't know how true it was. There was somebody telling me that the NFL had thought about making that Saints Falcons game a traditional game at 8, which is interesting to me. We just didn't, our team didn't show up in 18 and 19, but I'm here to tell you, the NFL is starting to recognize that rivalry. When you start thinking about, of course, Dallas versus anybody really, but more Dallas against the Giants, Dallas against Philly. When you start talking about Chicago against Green Bay, the Raiders against Kansas City, Denver against the Raiders, old school Jets against Miami, just those type of rivalries. Pittsburgh against Cleveland, which is old school rivalry, but now with Pittsburgh against Baltimore. Atlanta, New Orleans, when both teams are cooking, that's a matchup we want to see. But now that Breeze is gone, it's going to be interesting to see how that's looked upon, though. I don't envision us getting at 4-12. I honestly don't envision us getting a Thanksgiving game. We'll get the Thursday night game as we're supposed to. I'm thinking the Thursday night game will probably be against Carolina. I don't think they'll put Tampa Bay against us on a Thursday night. It'll probably be Atlanta, Carolina Thursday night as it was last year. Monday night, I doubt it. Doubt if we get a Monday night game. I don't think we will. I think prime time is not going to be our friend this year. Definitely don't think we're getting Sunday night games. Sunday night games is strictly prime time. I don't think we're going to get one. Octavius, not saying this would happen, but should we bring Gurley back as a serviceable backup running back? That's a question, Octavius, that we asked ourselves. I know I was talking to a couple of guys about that. I don't have a problem with it if the contract is set to where you're starting at the minimum. Maybe there are some accelerators in the contract that'll get him to $2 million if he reaches a certain point. Because the one thing you say about Gurley is he could find the end zone, but I have a problem with that less than 3 yards a carry. I know he ended up with more at the end of the year, but there were some games last year where I just didn't see the burst. And there's something to be said about the acknowledgement of those of that arthritis in his knees. That's real. Trust me, I can tell you now. And as a football player, as young as he is, for that to already be detected in his knees, whew, that's tough. But I would take a flyer on it. If you told me that if he came in, because you haven't heard his name with anybody else, Gurley made it clear at the end of the offseason that he would like to stay with Atlanta if he got a chance. Now, the one thing is, one, that was a different regime paying him, and two, they not paying you $5 million. I find it interesting that nobody's even called Gurley. So the longer he stays out, to me, that makes me think it could be a chance, and I would be down with it. There's nothing about that hurts me, and it doesn't hurt us. You got Mike. Look, Mike Davis is here, and you can rotate him in. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe we were trying to run him too much, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings. Charles says, I don't know. I think Ian Book was better than Franks, maybe because of what he had at Notre Dame around him. But he's a very mobile quarterback. I think it's more what he had around him. I think he was okay. I mean, look, they were undefeated at one time. I can't sit here and try to act like they were nothing. They were good. And he was the quarterback when he led them. So, yeah. hard to dump on that. But I don't know. I think it's just I just personally like Frank's a little better. I do. Arthur said no position is safe except we know the players that are safe. So Felipe has a chance. He was really highly regarded, and I really like him since my man is gone. Yeah, I do like him. I like him a lot. Twan, I feel like we should be the Lions that have been getting the Thanksgiving game, even though they got one after going 0-16. But I think we get 3 primetime games. Really? You think we get 3? Woo! That's strong, Twan. That's strong. But now the Lions and the Cowboys, that's locked in. I mean, that's been going on since the 60s, probably the 50s, so earlier than that. So I think that's a different case when you talk about the Lions being 0-16. No matter what happens every year, Detroit will play at home, Dallas will play at home on Thanksgiving. That's not going to stop. What I like about the Sunday game, that is given a chance for profile for the other teams to get some love. And I love the back-to-back that they gave us in 2018 and 19 for Thanksgiving. Shame that we didn't do anything in the 2018. Forbro says, what grade do you give the new GM and head coach? Only grade I can give him right now, Forbro, is about the draft. And you got to give them an A because they address needs. And you got to give them an A for really Kyle Pitts himself for what he may have the potential to be. The one great thing about draft grades, the real grade comes after the regular season to see what they gave you. But as far as just picking for need and picking some quality guys to come in, I got to give them an A. Homer said new head coach and the highest pick tight end ever in history and supposedly freak of nature. He may get us to 2 primetime games. You know, Homer, I didn't think about that aspect of it, of people maybe wanting to see Kyle Pitts. That could be a little. I see that more as a Monday night game, though, instead of. It goes in this order of primetime games. Sunday night is the creme de la creme. That's the big time guys, big time games, traditional games. And that's the highest rated game of the week, Sunday night game. Monday night games have become second tier. So if you start talking about the hype of, which you're absolutely right, Homer, when you start talking about wanting to showcase the freak of nature that's supposed to be Kyle Pitts, that may be where you have a Monday night game come in and do that. Thursday night games, everybody gets one. So whether it be Dallas and Detroit that automatically get one because of Thanksgiving, every team gets a Thursday night game. So I don't even consider Thursday night primetime game because everybody gets one. I know it's prime time, literally, but everybody gets a third game. But I want to go back to you, Twan, when you were telling me about that. So if you're talking about prime, are you including Thursday night? Because if you include Thursday night, everybody gets a Thursday night. But as far as Sunday night and Monday night, those games there, I don't think the Falcons are going to get one. Now, what I would love is if we shock the world and they get one of those things where, you know, the last 4 weeks of the year, they can flex games in where we happen to be good. Who would have thought the Washington football team would have ended up on a Sunday night game flexed in as a 7-9 team? Nobody. I would love to be in one of those situations. Ray says, I think people don't realize that Franks was Pitt's quarterback his freshman year at Florida. I think people know. I mean, Felipe Franks, even though he played a whole season at Arkansas, is known for his inconsistent play more at Florida than he known for going to Arkansas. Is that a fair statement? I think it's fair to say he was known more for the failures at Florida than he was for his year at Arkansas because he was super highly recruited coming into Florida. Dave says, honestly, Steve, most of my focus will be on the defense next year. If they can get off the field on third down, it will do well for them on the defense. And Dave is talking to us on Steve Sports Lounge on YouTube while I'm simulcasting in case you all want to, for those who can't get in the group, if y'all want to spread the news, we'll get more into that as next season comes. We're going to do some live reaction games where if you guys want to turn the TV down, not turn the TV down, have the TV up and see us talking about it, we're going to do a lot more of that during the year. If you want to get into stuff like that with me, I'd appreciate it. Go to Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge on YouTube and subscribe, and we'll have you ready on that. But yeah, I hear you. The defense, look, Dean Pease has a lot of work to do. And the mere fact that he was excited about coming out of retirement and helping Arthur Smith, I'm encouraged. I mean, he was doing some great work up there in Baltimore. You can't deny that. So the fact that he wants to come out and help this team, I think that's nothing but great. And young guys I want to listen. I think they will. It's going to be good. Christian, Steve, were you there at the Thanksgiving night game? Matt got stiff arm. You know what? That was, yeah, that's not going to be one of his career highlights ever. But that was embarrassing. The only Thursday night game that I missed there, and my wife and son went to that because I had to work, was the one where Debo intercepted the ball in the end zone to secure the game against the Saints. But yeah, unfortunately, I was there for that monstrosity. Kristen says, call me crazy, but I can see us playing Dallas on Sunday night this year. Listen, if they do, I'm down. I wish I was more optimistic, but I don't see them putting us on against Dallas. Look, Dallas is America's team. It is what it is. Just like the Yankees are in baseball, just like the Lakers are, LeBron or no LeBron, in basketball. Dallas is America's team. I don't think they're going to put us against Dallas. I think our chances, I could see us. Now, Jacksonville is a game that we play. That was our added game, Jacksonville. I could see us playing Jacksonville, maybe overseas. I could see us playing Jacksonville maybe on a Monday night. Trevor Lawrence against Kyle Pitts. I could see that. That was a great observation you made, Homer, about maybe wanting to see that two guys going at it. I could see that happening. Twan says, I think Pease will get our defense to at least 17th in the league. We won't be near the bottom, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say we will be top 13 in sacks or points scored. Listen, if we can do that, I'm in. I'm totally in. I was telling y'all I was going to tell y'all a story that I went through yesterday. Very good friend of mine I went to school with, Monica Moody, who had a book released, book signing, this Be Yourself to Free Yourself. And my wife and I had an opportunity to go over there and get into festivities and do all of that. So as I was there were three young guys sitting around. I'd say they probably in their 20s, something like that. And they were talking about Matt Ryan. And the one guy came and he told me, he said, Yeah, Matt Ryan is one of the top 12 quarterbacks in the league. Now, let me preface this by saying that I'm not trying to start that debate of Matt Ryan gone, Matt Ryan here. It's obvious Matt going to be here. Obvious Matt is our quarterback. Obvious Matt is whatever. And so I had to sit in and then foolishly didn't tell them to come look at the stuff on YouTube. I should have told them. But I foolishly got in the conversation and I told him, I said, Matt's top 12? Really? And all the ancillary things. Matt's thrown for 4,000 yards. Matt was an MVP. Matt's whatever. And it just hit me that if you really break it down, Matt might still be a top 10 to 12 quarterback in this league. As much as I dog him for not being able to close the deal, as much as I say he wasn't clutch, as much as my frustration at him for taking sacks when I think he could throw the ball away, I couldn't name more than 10 quarterbacks that I would take in front of him. And we broke it down. We went division by division. I think we went AFC East. I think the only person we took in the AFC East was Josh Allen. Went to the AFC North. I mean, Big Ben. I'm not talking about career resume. I'm talking about this year. Would you take Big Ben right now over Matt Ryan at this second? Probably not. Ben can barely stand up. Give Matt credit for being able to at least take the hits. Lamar Jackson may be the only person right now, arguably with Baker Mayfield. Got to give Baker credit. Turned his game around. Got his team to the playoffs. AFC South. Is there anybody? Can't say Trevor Lawrence yet. He hasn't thrown a pass yet. Indianapolis? No. Deshaun Watson? Question mark on whether he'll even play this year. Possibly. AFC West, obviously, Mahomes is better. Derek Carr, is he better? Justin Herbert, we saw a sample size. Did he truly outplay Matt last year in that game? He threw a lot. He threw a few interceptions himself, but he was the last man standing. Not ready to say if he's better. You start talking about NFC East. Is Dak Prescott really better than Matt Ryan right now? Is he really? Got more money than him. But is he really? I saw Dak Prescott. That was okay. He did a nice comeback against us. But even before he got hurt, people were acting like Dallas was killing it before he got hurt. He wasn't doing that well. Philadelphia, no. Washington, no. Giants, no. NFC North, of course, Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins better? Nah. Kyler Murray, have we seen enough of him to say he's better than Matt Ryan? I don't think so. Matt Stafford may be a push because I think that's the same guy. Going to the West, of course, Russell's. I would take Russell. You know? Golf, no. I know he's in Detroit now, but golf, no. I mean, and then, of course, in the South, Breeze is gone. Crab legs down there in New Orleans, I don't think he's better. He'll throw more interceptions than Matt. I know that. Sam Darnold. And, of course, Captain America. You can't Captain America's better than them all. So was that 10? I don't think that was 10. So when I start looking in the mirror and my wife was sitting off to the side, she's talking about, I think they got you. I think they did. But in this case, I'm happy to be wrong. And if Arthur Smith is what he is, and he can take Matt Ryan to the same heights of 2016, I'll be a crow-eating Atlanta Falcon fan, happy all the way to the playoffs. Because, see, I have no problem with eating crow if we have a winning organization. If we go to the playoffs with what we got right now, I'll apologize all day to Matt if he comes through. I don't care about that. It's never personal. I want to win. And as a fan, I want to win. Dave says there should be spirited competition this summer, and I love it. Tired of the status quo. Players need to start feeling uncomfortable. That was the reason why I wanted Matt to do that, to get somebody to come in. Philip says, who gets Rookie of the Year? Woo. I hope he's number 8 and plays for the Falcons. Kivia, I haven't seen you in a while. Do you think Darby will get any snaps behind the 4 horsemen? I mean, look, I would love for him to get on the field. I would love for him to. I mean, why not? I think the third and fourth receiver, I don't think it's automatic. Let's see. Hopefully he does. Homer, Matt definitely top 12 to me. He just isn't clutch. We need him to win that big game. And I tell you, you're right about that. He hasn't done that in a while. That's the part that kind of scares me. We had opportunities. For you all who remember the first part of the Matt era, that was the thing about Matt. That was the Matty Ice thing. Dude he came back from so many games early in his career that the Matty Ice thing stayed. It's just that we haven't seen it in the last few years. That's what makes you want to lose a little bit of faith in what he was doing. But Matt had a clutch gene. Just don't know where it went to. Can he get it back? Time will tell. I hope he does. What's going on, Brandon? How you doing, sir? Taking calling. You know what? I'm not taking them today. We'll take them. I know I got the thing on the line. I'm not taking them today because I honestly and truly, my plan wasn't to be on as long. But as I start getting into the football talk, you start talking a little bit longer than not. And we ended up going long. But we were just talking about how, afterthoughts of the draft and what's your overall thought about what we're doing. That's all. We'll take call. We'll get back to taking calls next week. We were talking about the schedule. The schedule comes out on the 12th. Obviously, we'll be talking about that, which will be great just to see where the Falcons are going, how the schedule lines up, how are we doing the NFC South this year, just how things line up. And there's supposed to be a London game this year. And the London game stuff, they usually have that come out right before the schedule. So it'll be interesting to see where that comes on. Christian says, I think his Pitts and Hayden are going to go off on this Smith team. I hope they do. Armani, yeah, Matt did have a clutch gene. Don't let your offense score too quick and you give Matt Ryan more than 30 seconds. That's behind. And he did. I'm trying to tell y'all, just go back and look. It's not just the Chicago game. It's not just the Seattle playoff game. Matt made a lot of comebacks. Shoot, against the Saints. And I think that's the frustrating thing. And I think that was the whole pre-draft narrative about wanting someone to bring that aspect back to Matt. The 2015 season was so pivotal, so pivotal because you had Kyle Shanahan come in here and make things uncomfortable. Remember the Roddy White deal in the Indianapolis game? Everybody says I'm not throwing to Roddy White. 1, 2, 3. See, Roddy's garbage. I mean, that's what I thought. That's what I interpreted it as. And I think the Matt Kyle thing was real. And I think Thomas Dimitroff even spoke about it on NFL Network, saying he had to bring them together and kind of hash things out. But it was good that it was an OC coming in here and saying, I'm not impressed that you went to the championship game in 2012. I'm not impressed you had 5 straight winning seasons. I want more out of you. And he pushed him more. He went to the Tom House thing in the offseason. And from the beginning of the season, you saw Matt play different. Matt played much different. He tried to play a little bit like that in 17, but just didn't work out. Defense, that we wasted that defense. That was the best defense. That probably was the best defense in Matt Ryan's tenure, that 2017 defense. So look, now it's laid out all for Matt. You have all these weapons. You have a coach that's supposed to have some good X and O's in him, that's supposed to get the most out of a quarterback. I am looking forward to seeing what Matt can do. What Matt can do in this offense. Brandon says, you probably spoke on this. What do you think about Pitts in Atlanta? After further review, Brandon, listen, 6'6", 245, no denying the brother's speed. You can't help but to think about the possibilities. I like it. Let's see if we can. The greatest thing we're going to get with Pitts is especially if we get our running game solid. And we get the running game solid and can get Matt back to his bread and butter, which is play action pass. Oh, this is going to be beautiful. Probably see Matt under center a lot more this year, which I think he's comfortable doing anyway. Matt stayed under center. 2016, when Matt was under center, that was a beautiful thing. Because if Matt had any kind of play action, that's where he kills you. That's when Matt was the most dangerous. Christian said, do we think we'll sign any more veteran players? I think, as I was mentioning earlier, I think when you start talking about the last preseason game, when most of the rosters are cut, you might see them pick up a couple of people there. I keep thinking always about that Alan Levitri pickup that we made at the end of that 4th game where we brought him in to help the offensive line, and that helped us get over the hump to the end. Little picks like that. I love it. What, Taylor Gabriel? A last second? I know he got cut by Cleveland. I don't think we got him by trade. I think we got him because he got cut. And I think we picked him up on the heap too. I think Taylor Gabriel was one of those cuts. I like those. I like those moves. Brandon, it was real. A coach had never challenged the players in this locker room. Exactly. Quinn never challenged these players. He was too much of a friend and not a coach. And you know, the one thing I keep telling people about that particular time with the Falcons, you got to remember, and I'm not making excuses for it. Again, let's go back and look at the coaches in Atlanta history, in the recent history, because we had too many for a 20-year span. When you start talking about Jim Mora, who clearly wasn't ready for the Atlanta Falcons job and wasn't the mature coach that we needed, and definitely not the mature coach that Mike Vick needed. Mike Vick needed somebody that was going to stay in his mind and needed somebody that was going to not let him do what he wanted to do. Mike's whole, the Mike Vick experience kind of was intoxicating for everyone. And the coach became Mike Vick's coach, not Jim Mora's quarterback. And once that happened, Jim Mora lost control. So I'm going coaches. Bobby Petrino, I don't even count because I think Bobby Petrino was kind of a joke and wasn't ready. So really the jump was from Jim Mora to Mike Smith. So when Mike Smith came, I don't think Mike Smith was a player's coach. I think Mike Smith was you're going to do it my way. I think he was a good leader. I think in retrospect, and it's hard because Dan Reeves did some okay things too. But Dan Reeves and Lehman Bennett, I'm not going to ever sleep on what Lehman Bennett did from the grit splits all the way to 1980, especially taking us one step away. But when you think about Mike Smith came in here and made things mature. He matured this team. That team needed maturity. That going from the chaotic Mike Vick era and all of that stuff, you needed stability. And Mike Smith gave you stability. And you had the 5 winning seasons. Now, once the 2012 season came and things kind of got kind of stale a little bit. 2013, we had everybody hurt. 2014, we were fighting for a division with a 6-9 record going into the last game, but things were still kind of stale at that time. So I think what they needed was an injection of that kind of guy, a clear players coach, Dan Quinn. I keep hearing everybody say that, the rah-rah coach, which he was. Super enthusiastic, somebody that if I needed to come talk to my Pop Warner team or maybe even my high school team going into a championship, I would bring Dan Quinn in. Dan Quinn is a good coach for a situation. And for Seattle in the Legion of Boom, where they had their own little thing where that defense basically ran the team, he was probably very good at that. I just don't think Dan Quinn was very good as an overall head coach. I think that's what it was. It's easy for us to sit back and poo-poo Dan Quinn now after he's gone and after the failures of the last couple of years. Super easy and well-deserved. I'm not making excuses for him, but I will say he came at a time that you needed some pumping up. We needed the brotherhood. We did. Y'all can sit here and pretend if you want to. Y'all know y'all were brotherhood t-shirts, brotherhood stuff like that. And during the 15, 16, and 17 year, don't lie, because I was too. And it was easy to buy in because we didn't have that spirit, that whatever. As much as I sat back and talked about the emotions of 2016, you don't get that with another coach except for Dan Quinn at that time. Now, did he fulfill the whole promise? No. And it became obvious during time management calls, things like that. It became very obvious that he was not the right guy as an overall head coach. I still believe over in Dallas, I think he's going to do good. Not only because they drafted all defense, but I think he's going to have success knowing that that's all he has to do. I think his failure was when he had to be on that headset, listen to the offense, listen to the defense, listen to the special teams, listen to everything. I think he needed to focus on one thing. And I think if he goes to Dallas, he's going to be that guy. As much as Dan Quinn will probably be the first person to tell you he probably deserved to get fired, I don't have hate for Dan Quinn. I have hate for Dan Quinn's talent as a head coach. I actually liked him quite a bit. I really did. Christian says, let's bring in Earl Thomas too to see what he does with this team. Yeah, Earl Thomas got some off the field stuff. I'm not sure. And again, I'm not trying to judge everybody's position as far as that. Now, he did work with Dean Pease as well. So maybe, who knows? I don't think Earl Thomas coming back for cheap, though. I'm not sure if he's coming back for cheap. Brandon, somebody may need to say something to Julio. You need to practice, bro, and play. I think Julio's days are numbered. Good thing about Fontenot is he's not married to any players. Should be competition for jobs out there. Gabriel was a last-second acquisition. I remember Dukes was like, why we get another receiver? Yeah, absolutely. I remember him coming in. Kyle worked with him in Cleveland, and Kyle Shanahan said, this guy will be a perfect fit. Think about how many times Gabriel took the top off of the offense. I'm thinking about just right now, the Philly bomb. I'm thinking about those 2 screens against Arizona. I'm thinking about the bomb up against the Rams. I'm thinking about that 3rd down play in Green Bay where he went across the middle. Gabriel was the perfect last-second pickup. And that's the kind of guy that you need when you start talking about picking up veterans. Twan, we get picks going, especially down the middle for the past years. No one has feared us up the middle. Hooper was good, but don't get me wrong, since Tony G, we haven't had a threat. And I'm saying, listen, as much as we're talking about Pitts, you know who benefits from this? Hayden Hurst should benefit. Dude, Hayden Hurst was not a scrub. We just didn't get the ball to him like we need to. The flashes that Hayden Hurst showed, I think he's going to be a good Robin to the Batman as far as the tight ends are concerned. I think this is going to help him open them up totally. Brandon, Mike Smith would have had better coordinators. He would have lasted. He was a good head coach. Smitty used to be heated on the sideline. Boy, during the I want to say it was the Seattle game. I think it was the Seattle game when it was either the Seattle game or the Carolina game. It was one of the games at the end when he got mad and he grabbed one of them coaches, grabbed him on the chest and just kind of pushed him away. And I was saying to myself, oh, man, that coach about to lay off on Mike Smith. I think Mike Smith had a little fire in him. Don't let when he got in the press conference, he was a cool customer, but Mike Smith was no joke, man. Twan said, I like Hurst, and he wasn't used correctly, especially with Dirk Cutter. Thank God he's gone. When you talk about Dirk, absolutely. I don't think Dirk was the right guy for this system at all. Good riddance to him. But I do think overall we're going to have a pretty good team. There is something to be said about this draft. You can never truly judge a draft until after the season, and in some cases 2 seasons down the line to see how they develop. But I do like at least the decisions that were made on some of these players. Folks, I have got up to 2 hours. That means it is time for me to go. I appreciate everybody's comments. Please don't forget, if y'all get a chance, YouTube, Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge is there so y'all can catch up on some of the past broadcasts and be in place for future stuff that we're going to do, not only in Atlanta Bird game, but individually as well. Thank y'all for joining us. Appreciate y'all. Had a great draft weekend. Great chopping it up with y'all all through the last 4 days. I will catch y'all later on down the line next Sunday. Definitely be on at regular time. Sunday at 6 p.m. Look forward to seeing y'all down then. Take care. Have a blessed night. Be good. Peace.